The Annie Altman Show podcast and other projects are field research for the Humani. Hey, it's Annie. Please check out and share the website, Patreon, and Etsy to help support these projects and my self-project. The Humani is a one-woman show about how no one ever fully figures out how to be a human being, how there's themes of the human being experience organized into 10 C words connected by the theme of connection, and how discussing these themes we all experience somehow is my best idea to contribute to minimizing unnecessary human suffering through maximizing resource equity. That was a lot of words. Maybe note when you hear the words connection, consciousness, choice, change, compassion, communication, community, creation, charge, curiosity, and/or courage in this episode. That's also a lot of words. Here's some more.
How we were talking about like your sense of self, and like there's this circle and there's this presence and then like shame, if not like we have ideas of who we are, but what happens to us when we act not accordingly to our definitions of ourselves? There's this incredible shame. There's a lot of questioning. How I thought I was this person. How am I reacting to this? Why am I like, I thought I knew myself. Apparently I maybe I don't. And then I think when you allow yourself kind of like, you don't box yourself into like, this is exactly who I am. And you allow yourself to like kind of grow and change. You learn more about yourself in like a judgment-free zone, because the thing is, everything you do and how you react, that is who you are.
Out of the blue, soft, you wouldn't know what I'm referring to. If I said soft while pointing at your carpet, you would know what I'm referring to. But then in a completely different room, I can say to you, your carpet is soft, and you'd totally get it. At that point, I no longer need to be physically associated with the things around me. Animals can't do this. We can, and we go hog wild with it. It's a radical difference between humans and other organisms, is that we basically live in two worlds, because all of these words interconnected, pointing to each other in our minds, enable us to create whole visions of the past, of the future, of the real, of the imaginary, and it is a clusterfuck. We are overwhelmed. We are trudging through a sandstorm of possibilities made possible by language, and we can escape it through language too.
The details are important to me. No one else is going to notice every single detail. And that's cool. It's okay for me to focus on them, but also don't put so much pressure on the details, because like people won't notice them all.
It's so true. It's back to the thing of people, we're all caught in our own expressing to some degree that there's not the space for judging people's whatever, as much as we all can feel like we're being judged.
Right. And communication is hard because it's so hard to be on the same page with someone, even this conversation, we could literally be perceiving it differently than each other. So it just is hard sometimes. I get overwhelmed when I'm like, oh, but am I on the same page? So
Same.
Yeah, it's overwhelming, but also comforting.
That is not a joke. You can laugh at it, but it's really not essentially a joke. But that belief is useful and has been useful to me for large parts of my life. Like, how do I cope with this world? And I chose to laugh at it for a long time. Now I'm noticing that that's bypassing to some degree. Like, I can accept and include that terrible stuff happens. And also I can laugh when I feel called to laugh. I just don't get caught in any one of those being true all the time.
Back on inclusivity and how much of the seeking is towards inclusivity, where sometimes the medicine, the necessity is laughter, and sometimes it's crying, and sometimes it's neither.
Yeah, emotions, I think, have to be allowed. And we're emotional beings, so we have emotions. That's true. We are more than just our emotional process, though. That's true too.
I would consider myself a very present person, and I'm either 100% there with you or I'm not at all. And so I know for myself, I pour out a lot into people. I pour out a lot of myself into the world. And so I need somewhere to go refill my reservoir. And everybody's place where they go to refill, it looks totally different and it feels totally different. And for me, I know what that is. And it's just as crucial for me to do that than to go do some work. And if I don't get my day to myself, then it translates into everything else. And I'm operating at halfway full at the beginning of my week. And then by the end of my week, I'm wondering, why am I feeling more tired? Why am I feeling more stressed? Why am I not in balance and in tune with who I am? And why am I not happy? But at the end of the day, I've learned what works for me. And I know that that's what it takes. And
at its heart, I think what I mean is that when we don't rush to give language to something, or to speak, or to respond, or to act, and we allow for there to be a moment, a space, whether that's in ourselves, so an intense emotion comes up, or someone says or does something and we feel something. I mean, it puts a feeling, it invokes a feeling in us, like there's a membrane in the relationship and they've just kind of prodded at something. These are communications, either from within or without. And we have an opportunity, if we give ourselves a moment and we don't feel like we have to immediately respond, to get information from those interactions and to shape.
Imagine if we saw people as they age get better in their gait mechanics, how transformative that would be, and how as a society we don't have to be doomed to a wheelchair in the future. We don't have to be subject to a cane or a walker or forced on our couches because it just hurts our knees too much to walk. I don't think that destiny has to be. Like, I don't think that that's just like the end, like that's just what happens. I don't. Like I used to, and I don't think that anymore. It's like no pain, no gain is a phrase that I think is really detrimental, and it reinforces the notion to just shove down feelings. Because
first, after nobody going first for such a long time, right? Like it's no different than thinking about I don't know. Think about being at a pool party, you're being at summer camp around the pool, and like somebody's got to jump in first, and then once that one kid is like, okay, fine, like I'm gonna go in, then like everybody else comes in. And just to decide, to take a step back for a second, right? We're talking about punctuated equilibrium, which is it's a concept from evolutionary biology that if you're looking at the evolutionary record of species that, for the most part, they're in stasis for a while. There isn't much going on, and then something changes.
Journey with communication. It might not be that I had trouble finding my voice, but I used my voice as a defense my whole childhood and early adulthood in the opposite way, where I harmed people with my voice and my communication to keep people at bay, to keep my small, vulnerable self protected. And so I was like, oh, I actually know a lot about this. It's just from the other side of the coin. My lessons were in softening my voice, not in somehow finding its power. And that wound up being the perfect place as the teacher for such a topic, because I have a strong relationship to my voice. I know what it's like to have to do work to find its truer, more authentic, loving center.
Yeah.
Like a voyeur to your subconscious.
Yeah, almost. Like it's like,
Well,
now you're Yeah, that sounds like it sounds terrible, honestly.
It does. Well, when people talk about quote unquote enlightenment, do you feel like that's what they mean? And then do you feel like that's where it's like there isn't true quote enlightenment because there will always be some subconscious that is subconscious. That the light needs something to be in the dark.
Absolutely. I think that the way you just put it, absolutely. Like, you know, and I've looked into all this. I love that concept of enlightenment because, you know, even out of a spiritual realm, you know, it is you know, it's not like some, like if you get rid of that you know kind of film over it where people are like, oh, but it's religion or this, you know, and how.
Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end. Please check out the AnnieAltmanShow.com and also patreon.com/The Annie Altman Show if you're able and interested in donating $1 or more per month to these projects. Non-dollar ways to share value includes and is not limited to sharing anything, the podcast, any YouTube video, any blog post, any social media account, subscribing, following anywhere, rating or reviewing anything, sending any feedback or ideas, and or connecting me with people for the podcast or other projects you feel would enjoy this work. In my opinion, word of mouth is the only quote real advertising, so here I am using words from my mouth.